Hello, Earth signs. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, welcome back. It's good to see everyone here today. Sorry, didn't mean to hit the microphone. So this will be for the Earth signs. That's going to be Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Oh, hold on just a moment. There we go. Sorry about that. I had been recording vocals with this microphone instead of whispering, so I turned it down a bit. So, for the Earth signs today, I'm going to use this selenite to clear the space and get ready for the reading. Just kind of relax, take a moment to set your intention. For the Earth signs today, I'm going to be using the Heindel Tarot. This box is a little bit beat up because I was carrying it around for some time. This is a deck of cards that I purchased in New Orleans at Marie Laveau's voodoo shop down in the French Quarter. And I feel like they have a very earth sign energy, so I will be using them for the readings today. And I'm remembering to say this on the front end so I don't have to say it throughout the reading each time. When I do the reading, I'm going to turn over the cards at the end of each sign. And then when I go over to the extended, I'm going to turn all the cards over and read them in the complete context for the air signs overall. And I will also be using my scrying crystal to divine some additional messages. So if you're interested in that, that is going on over on the members side of the channel. Please feel free to join down below. I try to post pretty regularly, at least once a month, and you get extra guidance over there. So now let's begin with the sign of Taurus. dark surface. And I did, of course, shuffle quite a bit in preparation for the reading, but just like to set the intention, get the energy right. Those jumpers, not quite. Okay. Let's lay out the cards. Oh, I really like working with this deck, actually. I had forgotten, kind of, that I enjoyed working with this deck so much. All right, so let me write down my timestamp for this. Taurus, we're starting out your reading with a very strong fixed sign energy of the Strength card. Now, this is your fellow fixed sign Leo's card in the Major Arcana. And as you can see, this woman is using this serpent almost like a whip, right? A whip. Whip. So, the card is not just about using physical strength and feats of strength, but also has a lot to do with mastery, persuasion, things which have to do with strength, but are not necessarily related to physical force. Crossing this card, we have the Prince of Wands, Son of Wands in the East. Now, this is fire of fire energy. And so almost like a pure elemental fire energy. It's very much like the Knight of Wands, but not quite. There are some subtle differences, for sure. But what we're seeing here is the god Krishna. I'm not super familiar with Hindu stories of their gods, so I won't speak too much on that in the reading. But those of you who are familiar, that will give you an extra layer of meaning. The fire of fire energy crossing the Strength card here is very good energy for getting anything done that you are going to need to accomplish. And let me just pull out my astrology planner for a moment, because I seem to recall, no, Uranus is still retrograde at this time in your sign. So there is something to consider there. On the 22nd, the planetary body, or celestial body rather, of Ceres, which is in retrograde right now, is going to be retrograding into your sign on December 22nd, so around the time of the solstice, right? So you could be getting a revitalized boost of energy toward the end of the year to kind of like final out this year and head into the next. Let's look here into the past. So we have the Devil card, and the Devil card showing up here, upright, 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 upright. The Devil card, upright, is about the things that control us. These can be things we allow to control us. It can also be things like disease or things involving circumstance. But the key to the Devil card is this idea that there are these situations that are set up in our lives. And sometimes we set up these situations, but that it's any time that you are ceding control in your life over to something else that does not have your highest and best good at heart. So that showing up here in the upright position in the past tells me that you are working on these issues right now. So having this extra burst of energy toward the end of the year is going to be very helpful to you, Taurus, to overcoming that situation. And indeed, we look down here at the Imam Sili. The Imam Sili is the position telling us about all of the occurrences that will be happening during this current time period that are going to be setting you up for things in the future. And we have there the Ace of Wands, and the Ace of Wands is upright as well. So this is a potent masculine fertility energy also. And it really speaks to having this potential to overcome things that are going to require an expenditure of your energies. This is the card that talks about your perspectives on the current situation. And we have the Nine of Cups here. And the Nine of Cups is a wish fulfillment card. Of course, down at the bottom here, it says Fortune. And these cards are cool because they do have the I Ching symbols on them. For those of you who read I Ching, I must confess that although I'm incredibly well versed in a lot of the disciplines with which I'm very familiar, I have specialized in those things. And so there are things like the Hindu gods that I don't know very much about, and the I Ching that I also don't really know anything about at all. But this is a wish fulfillment card, and it is coming, you know, in the context of this Devil card, that perhaps you are able to overcome these things that have been plaguing you. From the outside perspective, I have to censor this card a bit, we have the Queen of Wands in the reverse. So this Queen of Wands card, we do have the ferocious Kali depicted here. That while the Queen of Wands upright is a very charming, very vivacious sparkling conversationalist, that in the reverse, now this could be a fire sign person, so that could be Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius person. This person in the reverse is somebody who can be kind of catty, kind of prone to gossip and idle slanders. The Queen of Wands can also be somebody who is charming to the point of manipulation when we see this card in the reverse. So this could either be speaking to you, or this could be an outsider's perspective on the situation you are currently in, Taurus. And of course, all of those things could be true at the same time. Here in the future, we have the Three of Pentacles, but the Three of Stones in the reverse. So you could be getting ready to start on a group project or for some group collaboration. The Three of Pentacles is also about your professional reputation, of course, because what better way to build your professional reputation than to collaborate with other people? So, where we see this card coming out, it could just be that it's reversed because it is in the future, and perhaps, sorry for that pop, there's a possibility that you are not currently in this job position, or you haven't met these people yet, or you have not come upon this situation such that you would be able to see it already occurring. That might be why this card is showing up reversed. In the hopes and fears position, we have the Wheel of Fortune. I wish you could see it. It's beautiful. There we go. And the Wheel of Fortune here, I think, is exactly hoping for this Nine of Cups. That you are experiencing a moment of gratitude that something has come through for you. And perhaps there is additional help needed. So that you're hoping for another windfall to kind of follow through the cycle and close everything out. The card that we have in the midheaven position is the Eight of Wands, which is called in this deck interference, but is also about feeling trapped, feeling limited, feeling like there are limitations to a situation. The Eight of Swords and the Ten of Wands can be kind of similar sometimes. But in this particular situation, remember we started out with this really promising Ace of Wands energy. And I think what could be occurring here is that now swords are a suit of air. So that's all these air sign qualities, logic, problem solving. And you might be very good at those things. But what we have in the current state is a lot of energy being expended in order to achieve certain goals here. And I think that what this card in the midheaven is urging you, and especially because it is in the upright, you could be on the verge of burnout because of this. And if that energy fails you, then you will have to revert back to the ways that you had been doing things that were not working if you're not able to come up with better solutions. So I see this here in the midheaven, Taurus, as urging you to kind of take a moment and do some planning. Now, it does look like you're in the middle of a big burst of energy, which could mean that you're very busy and that you are having to focus on a lot of different things at once. But if you're able to, I urge you to take some time to sit down and kind of like chart everything out and do some planning so that when you come out of this particular period, that you'll be able to move forward. We do have a very good card in the final outcome position, and that is the Seven of Cups. Now, in some ways, this is a couple of steps back from this Nine of Cups that we have here, but everything can't be the same all the time. Time moves forward, and so does progress. So what we have are these options opening up for you moving forward. Now, this card in this deck, they're calling it the illusions of success. But I don't really take the meaning of the Seven of Cups to be quite like that. I usually interpret the Seven of Cups as some of your options. You're going to have a lot of options, and that means that some of them are going to be very, very good, Taurus, and some of them are going to be not so great, okay? So I think there's a lot of potential here, and that you will have some luck moving forward. Here with the Devil card and the Queen of Wands showing up in the reverse, I think there are some habits of yours, and this could be talking about other people. It could be the way that you talk about other people's both successes and failures, because even if you stick strictly to the truth, there's still going to be inherent bias in that. And look at the way that you feel. We didn't have Cups cards about that. We did have a couple Cups cards come out in the reading, but really look at your motivations behind whenever you are talking about other people and their accomplishments, because you may be unintentionally putting things out there that either are not a reflection of the situation overall, or might come across as catty or biased against people, even if that is not your intention. All right, Taurus. Well, that is what I have for you in this reading. Thank you for joining me. We will be moving on now to the sign of Virgo. And I'm just going to flip these cards over so we can get ready for the extended. And then I will shuffle the cards a bit. And Virgo, just set your intention and start to kind of think about how you'd like to close out this year, begin the next. think about things you'd like to accomplish moving forward. How you're going to spend your holidays. Just relax. Of course, if you don't intend for your holidays to be relaxing, or you're planning to spend time around people that stress you out, then don't think about that right now. We have a couple fours to start your reading. Very interesting reading for you today, Virgo. Very interesting reading. But, you know the old proverb, may you live in interesting times. Not every reading that I do is going to necessarily be all cupcakes and sunshines. We're starting out your reading this week with the Four of Cups. The Four of Cups, it says here mixed happiness. I think that's pretty appropriate. It is having a handful of options open to you that you are in the process of evaluating. And this is crossed by the Four of Wands. So the Four of Wands is a card of celebrations. Here they call it perfection. It's kind of like the happily ever after to a story, but you know that the story has a sequel. You know there's another book in that series for you to read. Here in the past, we have this Page of Pentacles. This is the Page of Pentacles in this deck. It's the Princess of Stones, the White Buffalo Woman. And the Page of Pentacles is a card of possibly a job offering coming in for you. It is a new financial endeavor. And here we have the card in the reverse. So it could be that this was something that was begun quite some time ago. Or it could be that you are currently looking for a job and you haven't gotten offers yet. That's also a possibility. Down here in the Imam Silai, we have the King of Cups. Now, this is very interesting. I will give you a reading spoiler. Because in this particular deck, the King of Cups is depicted as Odin hanging himself from the tree Yggdrasil. And the final outcome for your reading for this cycle, Virgo, is actually the Hanged Man, which is very much akin to this energy. So both of these cards are coming out upright. The King of Cups is a very nurturing person. And if this card were reversed, I would say that there could be elements of self-sacrifice to try to take care of others. But in the current situation, there is a provider. King of Cups is both active and passive energies. It's the air energy and water energy kind of combined. And so this is somebody who actively cares for others, a provider, a paternal figure. This could be you in the current situation, Virgo, Or this could be somebody with whom you are closely aligned. So this could be your parent. This could also be a spouse or a partner. Doesn't have to be male. It is a somewhat masculine energy. From your perspective, we have the Three of Swords, and this card is showing up in the reverse. So I think that for you at this time, Virgo, you are actually leaving behind any situations where there's a potential for argument. You're not leaving a lot of room for dispute in your interactions with others. And from an outside perspective, we have the Seven of Swords, and it's in the reverse. And this is actually a very good position, Virgo, to be getting this card. Because from an outside perspective, people see you as a straight shooter. They see you as very honest. In addition to this, they see you as somebody who is not easy to take advantage of or lie to. That could be advantageous to you. Here in the future, we have the Five of Swords, and it is in the upright. Now, in this deck, they call it defeat. I would call this conflict. And this is conflict that would be unresolved. So this could be something happening between you and others, in which the outcome is not yet clear. Although this card is in the upright, it could be a victory of some kind. I don't necessarily agree with this idea of the Five of Swords upright being defeat. But I will say that especially when you are on a spiritual journey, and I think that's where the vibration of this card is coming from, that especially because you have come to a place in your life where you are able to balance these things. You know, we've got the Three and the Seven of Swords, which are both of the odd swords on either side of the Five of Swords. Those are coming out reversed. The energy of these odd-numbered swords can be very harsh. And when you are on a spiritual journey, your goal is to achieve the highest self. So anytime that people are dragging you down from everything that you've achieved, right, that's a defeat for you, because they've succeeded in drawing you into this conflict that otherwise, based on the progress that you've made, you would have hoped to avoid. So I could see why the Five of Swords would be depicted as defeat. So I think that there could be a situation in the future for you, Virgo, and you might see this on the horizon because, again, this card is showing up in the upright, that you might be getting drawn into a situation in which there is a danger for you to revert to past versions of the self that perhaps did not have the spiritual strength and fortitude that you fought so hard for. Here in the area of your hopes and fears, we have the Magician card, and it's coming out in the upright. It's a very beautiful card. I love the illustrations in this deck. And the Magician here is somebody who is able to manifest and create the destiny that they desire. They are able to create what it is that they want their life to be like, almost effortlessly. And I think, Virgo, that is what you are striving toward at this time. But of course, when you are working so hard on your self-development and improvement, it's not linear. Linear progress doesn't exist in that context. And additionally, I want to remind you that it's clear that you have made a lot of progress in this area. And so I would encourage you to just kind of take a step back and remember all of the techniques that you've been cultivating to deal with situations like this, and don't fall prey to the temptation of reversion in your spiritual growth. Here in the midheaven, we do have the Five of Cups showing up in the reverse. Now, remember that in the MMC we had the King of Cups upright, somebody who's a strong provider, but there are also elements of this self-sacrifice that can crop up if you're not careful. Now, the Five of Cups is about disappointment and loss, but not a total loss. And because it's showing up reversed like this, it's possible that this has the potential to change if your behavior changes. We have this Five of Swords here in the future, and then, in the midheaven position, this Five of Cups is showing up. So those two things are related as well. That the way that you handle this Five of Swords situation is definitely going to determine whether or not this ends up being a disappointment for you. It could also be that the circumstances surrounding the potential for disappointment have not yet cropped up in your life, and therefore you're not able to really plan ahead for them. So it could end up being very sudden, but there's not a way to know that for each and every one of you in a general reading. Now, as I mentioned, the final outcome position, Virgo, is the Hanged Man card. And the Hanged Man has elements of self-sacrifice for the benefit of others, or for the benefit of one's spiritual development. This is elemental water card, and also aligned with the planet of Neptune. So this card is showing up in the upright. I do think it has a lot to do with your spiritual journey. And I think that you have, to some extent, found a balance between assertion, which is what we see here with the swords in the reverse down in the current situation and people's perspectives on situations, and being nurturing in an active way to the people in your life. I do think that you've found a good balance here, but it's because of the spiritual development that you have achieved at this point. And there's going to be something potentially occurring for you, Virgo, in the near future, because again, this Five of Swords is in the upright, so that could be happening very soon, really, within days or weeks. There's going to be something that's kind of a test for you as far as your spiritual development is concerned. And it's going to be up to you to figure out how you are going to cope with it. And especially, we have this Hanged Man coming out. Sometimes the sacrifice that you make is not blowing up at somebody. Sometimes the sacrifice that you make is not reverting to what you have done in the past. All right, Virgo. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up your reading for this cycle. It is a Friday, so there will be 2 earth and water readings this week. And then next week we'll get 2 fire and air readings. Do the 2 passive signs on the one day and the 2 active signs on the other day. Or active elements, I guess. So now let's move on to the sign of Capricorn. And I didn't write down my timestamp for Virgo. So I'll just kind of guess. And write down for Capricorn for sure. And shuffle the cards a bit. So Capricorn, just go ahead, set your intention, relax, think about what it is that you would like to achieve at the end of this year, the beginning of the next. Asking yourself the softball questions of where you'd like to be at this time next year, things like that. Looks like you're going through a judgment right now, Capricorn. A trial of some kind, not a courtroom trial, but some kind of test. Interesting. So I will say that in the final outcome, we have this Ace of Pentacles in the upright, which is the beginning of a new venture. Could be a new financial venture. It could be a new business that you're beginning. It could be a new job. Typically, Page of Pentacles is a new job offering, but Ace of Pentacles can be as well. So what I mentioned was that your reading is starting off with this Eon card, which is like the card of judgment. And of course, the evolution through the eons in the what we now call Gnostic system, but at the time it was a very early Coptic Christian sect. So you can read books like the Pistis Sophia. I'm also working on the Book of Ju right now, or Yo, which is which goes into a lot about the evolution through the eons and which different archons live in each one of the eons. So every time you approach a new eon, there are archons guarding it, and you have to call upon the proper watchers and know the proper ciphers and symbols to move between the eons. And this was information that was given to the early Christians by Jesus himself. So that's how you know it's the good stuff. Crossing this, we have the Seven of Stones. So this is the Seven of Pentacles. And they call it, some of the meanings that have been attributed to these cards in this deck are very harsh. And I don't take the Seven of Stones to be like that. This is an evaluation. Like, you've put in a lot of hard work to a certain situation. Hi, Sand, that kid from the sky. How are you? Thanks for coming. you're putting in a lot of evaluation right now regarding whatever this test is, Capricorn. Here in the past, there was a period of rest. We have the Four of Swords here. And of course, the meaning on this card is truce. But it's about rest, it's about rejuvenating yourself as well. Down here in the Imam Sili, so we have 3 6s in your reading, Capricorn, and I would expect nothing less since your card in the major arcana is the Devil. 2 of them are in the present and they are upright. 1 is in the reverse and it is in a future position, so we'll get to that soon. But here in the Imam Sili, this is the position that talks about all of the things that are going on currently that are going to be leading to your eventual destiny. And we have here the Six of Cups. Now, they call it happiness in this deck, but really the Six of Cups is about things returning to you from the past. So, could be past friendships, past love, past jobs, any of these things. So I think it's a little simplistic to call it happiness because it really refers to something quite specific. And here in your current perspective, we have the Six of Stones. This is financial success. So, you know, we do have some financial success, and we also have an evaluation of that success. The Six of Pentacles can also be investments. It is about the balance of give and take in financial relationships as well. Can have to do with making investments. It can have to do with loaning people money. And of course, to loan people money, you have to have more money than what you actually need yourself. From an outside perspective, this is the World card. In this deck, it is called the Universe. And on this card, we have the great giant cosmic lizard spewing flames. Now, the World card is about completion. It is about the end of the Fool's journey, the end of that cycle and moving into something else. Now, from the outside looking in, we have this card in the reverse. And that can show, Capricorn, that people think or perceive that you're having trouble finaling something out. This doesn't necessarily mean that you're failing at it, but there's just as when Sophia is trying to escape from the 13th eon into the 14th, I believe, there's a process, and it's very difficult. These first few eons, it's very easy to transcend. But then the further that you get, the more that you have to push through that barrier, and the more difficult the archons become to defeat. So this really speaks to the process that you're going through right now. But I do see a very good card for your near future, which is this Sun card, and it is upright. That tells me that your success is imminent, Capricorn, that this will be happening very, very soon. In the position of your hopes and fears, Capricorn, we have the Lover's card in the reverse. This is Gemini's card. It has to do with dualities. It does have to do with romantic relationships. And can also be about choices. when you come into a fork in the road, making choices. So this card showing up in the reverse, you could be hoping for the end of someone else's relationship, possibly. Or you could be hoping that you do not have any more choices that need to be made at this point. The Lover's card wouldn't be showing up in the reverse here if you were hoping for an end to your own relationship, because of course we are all in charge of that. So that would be a choice that you would have to make. But if you're hoping for that choice to be taken out of your own hands, that could also be this situation here. Now here we're moving into the MMCLI. And this, or I beg your pardon, we're moving into the midheaven. So this is going to be the direct result of what's going on here in the MMCLI. So we have this Six of Cups, we have something returning from the past. And then up here in the midheaven, we have the Six of Swords. And this is showing up in the reverse. Now they say science. I really don't understand where they would be getting that for the Six of Swords. I guess I could go into the book and figure out. But the Six of Swords is about a departure. It is about travel, exodus, pilgrimage. And so this card showing up in the reverse, in the midheaven position, there could be a move that you will be making in conjunction with all of these things. But you're not planning to move. This is not something that you've already been thinking about doing. This move will be coming eventually, but is not part of your current plan, and that's why it's not, all the details are not apparent at this time. And then, as I mentioned before, Capricorn, we have this Ace of Pentacles in your final outcome position, which is a very favorable card for you to have there, and does speak to your being able to begin a new financial cycle moving into the new year. A lot of your future cards actually showed up in the upright, Capricorn, so that tells me that these are things that could be happening for you very, very soon. All right, Earth signs, thank you so much for joining me today. As I mentioned before, I will be uploading a video over on the members side of the channel, so look for that very soon. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you again.